Yes, I know I'm a little bit late getting into Organised Play 2026. This news dropped February 7th, and I've been fighting a bit of a burnout cold after the 12-hour stream, and I'm probably going to have a second one after I do the next 12 hours, when hopefully coming up soon. But regardless, Universus have dropped the Organised Play 2026 details. Going beyond just the regionals, we've got the 4 regional dates happening in America. We now know when they're going to be happening and where. This is really cool. You don't know much about the Universal Championship, but we do got the local championships information. Now, local championships information in terms of what they are, the prizing behind them, this has already been known. But what we've got for the first 2 seasons, but what we have got is for March and for early May, we've got local championships locations. We haven't quite got the dates yet, but we've got a recap of what we're going to be getting the local championships, the top 8 promo, top 4 promos, the regionals buys if you go to the regionals out in America, and the travel coupons, as well as the invite to Worlds 2026 happening in November. Season 1 of local championships happens in March up until April, and season 2 happens in May, from the beginning up until the end of May. But it's really cool to see the dates that the locations have already dropped, so people can start becoming aware of this. Australia, America, Spain. Spain walked away with a load. They got 4 over the 2 seasons. We have 40 per season, with the middle and north of England walking away with a huge amount, with Middlesbrough, Sheffield, Newcastle, Birmingham all getting absolutely loads. I think someone broke it down to there being 13 internationals per season and then 27 North American. Pretty decent. Like I said, Alicante walked away with 2 per season, which is absolutely great. The Spanish community. It's really cool to see that we're going a bit further out. We've got Spain. We've got Ludi World in France. Having a local championship, we haven't really seen much French events. So this is really cool to see that we're expanding into France. We have Sod Games out in Flores, Belgium. Belgium is an absolutely beautiful country, so I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with this event. The thing that is kind of annoying is that we were told we could have up to 20 international events. And people have just assumed stars didn't apply. But this isn't the case. We know multiple stars out in Glasgow, where the last UK regionals was held of 2025, applied and were denied. So why were we told we have 20 slots available for international markets, and then we have stars that have regular events with a decent turnout up in Scotland being denied events? What is going on there? We've got regular events happening outside of that, and it's great to see Belgium and France, like I said, going on there. The Isle of Wight has a regular league that happens pretty much every Sunday. If I didn't have to take the ferry, it'd be one I'd love to go to, but trying to get back on the ferry that late in the evening would be absolute pain. No sign of those guys getting one either, and it just seems a bit weird. It's great to see UVS expanding deeper into Europe, and it's great. But seeing the established playgroups being punished and having slots that we were told were for international markets going to American stars, really weird. Why tell us there's 20 slots? International events can take up half of what's going on, and then stars get denied. Is it a miscommunication? Did we just not understand? Did I misunderstand what UVS was saying when they said we could have up to 20 events? For me, that means if 20 stars applied and they had a regular player base, that means they got one. But Scotland's been denied. We don't know why. UVS hasn't said why any stars were denied. They haven't told the stars why they were denied. But apparently, Scotland just doesn't get events. Tough, go travel to Newcastle, go travel to Sheffield. Same for the South. Hastings Museum and Board Game Cafe didn't get any. There are a few stars in the southeast of England where we had a regional last year that run regular events that have kind of just been denied. and not been given regionals and haven't been given local championships. But there's still spaces. The 20 international events weren't met. There were still slots that were meant to be for international play that just didn't get given them. And I'm not saying to take away. Oh, the UK needs more events. No, I'm not saying that we should take away from Spain. We should take away from Australia, who walked away with 5 events to themselves, all across all their time zones. It was absolutely amazing to see some of the biggest. I don't think we should take away from Australia. Australia got some of the big. Australia got it across all their time zones. They got an amazing representation across the whole of Australia. And even New Zealand walked away one in Christchurch, and Christchurch is a big place for this game. Well, it used to be, but so is Scotland. Scotland has one of the most dedicated communities, and they're just not getting the representation, and it kind of sucks. Even when we get to the season 2 roster, the ones that are happening in May, we still see Alicante on there. We still see Belgium. We still see the west and north of England, the middle and north of England. We still get to see that France and Belgium have theirs, which is really cool to see. Again, I'm really happy. Sean from Patriots, myself, other people made a push. We were like, UVS has told us we have 20 spots. UVS has told us that half of a season's regionals, half of a season's local championships can go to the international market. So we rallied stars. We reached out to every star we knew. I reached out to stars that used to hold events that didn't hold events anymore to try and try and spark it back up. I reached out to Firestorm. I reached out to Stronghold. I wanted to push the name out, because if you tell us we have 20 spots, we want to push this. We want to maximize what you're offering us. And you haven't done that. What was the point of UVS telling us there's 20 seats for international events, there's 20 seats for non-American stars to have a local championship, and then for it not to happen? Don't get me wrong, this is cool information, it's cool news to have, it's cool that we've got all this information early. I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yums. It's great to see all this information dropping this early, giving people time to prepare, letting them find the stars and the locations and see what they can reasonably travel to over this 4 week period that we've been given for these events, and people start to be able to prepare and be able to get ready to travel, and it's a lot better than we've had in the past. But I'm not going to sit here with toxic positivity saying, oh, this is all great, this is all really cool, and not highlight the failings. I'm going to do both. And if you don't like that, then just stop watching, because I'm sick of people glazing UVS for minor wins. They need to be doing better. They need to be showing the international community that they matter. Seeing France and Belgium and Spain getting more local championships and getting that support is really cool. But at the same time, we're seeing other areas not getting the support that have already got established players. When there was still 5 seats available, there was only 15 events for local championships internationally, including Canada. That means there was still 5 seats. Scotland could have at least had one of those. I'm not going to say anything for too long, but it just feels really bad at the minute to be an international player. It really does. And when we saw that we were going to be getting the local championship news, people were excited. And we saw Spain with 2. We saw Belgium. We saw France. We saw the expansion out there. And we were hyped because it actually showed that UVS was following through. They were expanding. They were growing the community. They were setting the groundwork and the foundations for the community to thrive and grow and have a bigger, wider appeal. But then it fumbles in the lack of support in Scotland. It fumbles because there's no support in the southeast of England. There's it, having 3 events all in the middle to mid north, because Sheffield, you are mid north. If you look at a map, it's not north like Newcastle. Is really weird. These events are essentially within an hour to 2 hours of each other. But for people in Scotland, for people like myself, for people in the southeast, they are 4, 5, 6 hours away. It would be easier and possibly cheaper to fly to Spain, Belgium, and France than it would be to drive to Patriot in Sheffield just to get hold of one event. I know some Scottish players are legitimately considering that and going to Spain is easier than going to Sheffield. It's just how it's working out, and it sucks that they have to have that option because they don't have a local championships despite having a local community. But anyway, let's move away from there and take a look at this on a global distribution, because Nick Reagan has dropped this very cool Google Maps where it has highlighted where all the events are. So we can see we've got 2 in Spain happening in season 1. We have 1 in France. We have 1 in Belgium. We have 5 in the UK. We have 5 in the UK, but you can see it's kind of. I guess they are a bit more spaced out than I thought. I forgot Trinity Card is quite high. Scotland completely blank. Wales completely blank. Northern Ireland used to have a big player base, but that's kind of gone dead. The entirety of the South has nothing. So out of all the international events, Europe walked away with 8. Australia got 5, which will be all the way down here. Australia and New Zealand walked away with 5. Coming down here with Perth having one on the west coast, the rest being on the east coast. And then if we just do a quick jump over the ocean, you can see that Alaska has one, which is really cool, at Tier 1 Carding Games. We've got Canada with Toronto and Ottawa ones, and then you can see America. If you're in the north central of America, Dakota, Minnesota, you're kind of screwed. But both coasts, the South, all got decent representation. Really cool to see. I'll put a link to this map in the video description as well, so people can take a look at it, have some fun, go around, be able to travel. For me, I live in this area. So I'm going to struggle getting hold of any events. It would be easier probably for me to just fly out to the European ones, and that would be really interesting to see, because I'm interested to see what the French and Belgium events are going to be like. But yeah, this went on a lot longer than I expected to. For anyone who's still watching after my brief rant about it not being good enough, thanks for sticking around. UVS does need to do better. This is. I don't get why we were told we could have up to 20 and then only got 15. I don't get it. I don't get this entire organized play year as general. We're trying to make the best of a bad situation for international players. If you are a player planning on traveling out for regionals and America, let me know why you've made that decision. And if you are a international player who would love to, if you're an international player, let me know what would it take for you to fly out to an American regional, or what if you're an American player, if the UK and EU had a regional, what would it take to get you to fly out to that? I think that's a good thought experiment to have, because we have 4 regionals this year only. One of those could have been international, in my personal opinion, and I want to know why Americans wouldn't fly out to Spain for a regional when one of the big arguments was you can just fly out over here. Why is it a double standard? Let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you at game night. For theories, news, and more, win, lose, or draw, keep it UK Versus.